have your attention, please? It is now 8 o'clock and we're going to, or 7 o'clock. It's been 8 many years. We're going to go ahead and open the meeting. And the open meeting laws are posted in the clerk's office. And I also will note that all board members are present except for our one vacancy. Okay. Ben?
Okay. Just a reminder, because of the past problems that we've had, there aren't going to be any interruptions. We've left the public comments at the end of the meeting, so anyone can say anything you'd like. Just remember to identify yourselves and raise your hand so we can just keep order. I was handed a written notice and request for access to public records, and Dustin on that one. It's not on the agenda for tonight, so we'll put it on the agenda for next month and address it then.
Joe, Ben, I don't think it has to be on the agenda. If you look at 84-712.
Dustin, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Look at 84, Joe, or Ben, look at 84-712.
Dustin, it's not on the agenda.
Ben, it doesn't have to be on the agenda. If you read 84-712,
We're
it
not
doesn't
having a hearing.
require. Hold, hear me out.
No, I don't have to.
I think you do have to.
No, we run the meeting.
I want to be heard on my issue. 84-712.
I'll hear you on the issue that you put on the agenda.
Okay, and I want to be heard on this written notice as well.
We'll put that on the agenda for next month.
84-712 is self-executing, Ben. 84-712 does not require that it be put on the agenda. We simply have to give notice, whereupon 4 days afterwards, you're required to comply.
Yeah.
So we don't have to put this on the agenda for next month.
To discuss
it's self-authenticating.
I have the notice.
Okay, then I think this gives us a right under law to bring an action to enforce 84-712. It doesn't mention in 84-712 that has to be put on the agenda.
Fine.
It says you have 4 days to comply from the date upon which notice is given, excluding the first day.
I understand.
Okay?
I understand. You haven't been here in the past. We have a problem with this sort of thing. I have the notice. If we fail to comply, then file a lawsuit. I don't have any problem with that. But that we can't have any more threats. We can't have any more
I'm not
arguments.
threatening you.
But you're angry and you're kind of arguing. But please don't. This is how we run it. You've given your notice. We have. If we don't comply, then you file a lawsuit. That's how it works.
How am I angry? I'm simply stating our position under 84-712.
But we aren't having a hearing. We aren't having a hearing right now.
No, I'm simply explaining our position under 84-712. We expect that 84-712 is complied with. By the way, Ben, I'm sure you haven't read it before, so I'll just outline it for you right now. 84-712 says we submit our written request, which we've done. You have 4 days thereafter to comply with that written request.
I understand.
If you don't for some reason, then we can take action, but we have a right under 84-712, notwithstanding any kind of a debate by the city council or by the village board. We have that right under, this is self-executing. We don't need the council to say, oh, we can approve this, or oh, no, we don't. 84-712 is self-executing. We've now submitted. Well, you apparently don't.
I think he's agreeing with you.
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, but we don't need it to be on the agenda for the next meeting.
If you want to discuss it and have a hearing, that's all I'm saying.
A hearing
calm down.
Well, I'm calm.
Okay.
A hearing on what? Explain your position to me.
If for some reason they decide they don't want to give it to you, which I think they have to, then there's room for a hearing. I am agreeing with you.
No, then it says if they don't want to, then there's procedures for refusing that too.
I understand.
But it's not. I don't see anywhere in 84-712 that says the procedure is to then request to have discussion at the very next board meeting. No, it says what you have to do if you're going to deny it. So we expect that if you're denying it, that it be done within the time frame set forth in 84-712.
We have 4 days.
4 days, not
Can you
excluding
just
today.
give us that?
I understand that, but you're talking about the next meeting.
Okay, we can put it on the agenda.
You can put it on the agenda, but I want something done prior to that.
Okay. Can we move on to the audit?
Yeah, we're withdrawing our request for an audit right now, pending this.
Okay. Can I just discuss the audit with everybody?
Okay, sure.
Okay, there's been a request made to have an audit done because one hasn't been done in 8 years. Prior to 2002, villages only had to turn in a financial statement. It didn't have to be audited. After that, they're required to do an audit unless they ask for and receive a waiver. That's what we've done for the last 8 years. At this point, The only thing that can happen is if somebody asks and we have good reason to do an audit, that's why we would do it, unless the state auditor comes in and says it. The issue I have with the request being made now is it's already been done for this year. So it would be better to make the request at the end of the fiscal year, because then we have 3 months to request the waiver and make the decision.
Was there an actual audit done for 2014?
No, they did the waiver.
Okay.
Yeah,
Has there been a waiver done each of the last 8 years?
I believe so, yeah.
2007,
Yeah.
2008.
Okay. And that should be a matter of public record. So
Yeah.
if you guys fulfill our request under 84712, we should be able to see that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But understand that the decision can't be made again until the end of the fiscal year.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the exact wrong time of year at this point because it's already had the
We
waiver for this
understand
year.
that there's a certain period or a certain time when audits are done or waived.
Okay, I was
We
just,
understand that.
Okay, but you made it in March.
I understand that.
Okay, that's all right.
I just told you we're withdrawing that request at this juncture.
Okay.
In exchange for which we want the documents that we've requested pursuant to that written notice.
Okay. So that's it for the audit. Moving on to the dogs. Who made the request for the dogs?
I did.
Okay, what's the story on that?
Okay, they addressed this early last year. Steve Dager and Mark Anderson were the two that were supposed to be in charge of handling loose dogs, catching, penning, whatnot. Steve Dager, Mark Anderson, no longer on the board. I propose that the village erect, this is just a temporary pen. As you can see, it's not super expensive. Insofar as that, if someone catches a dog in their yard, I spoke to Donna about this Saturday. Yes, you can call the veterinarian and the veterinarian is supposed to come get the dog. But what do you do with the dog until the veterinarian shows up? We need some place to pin these dogs so that they're not running around, getting into people's trash, picking fights with other dogs. You know, just in the last 8 months, I've had, well, Dalton had one dog at his house show up. I had one just a couple days ago show up. Because I am a dog person, I catch the dogs, I go around town and I find the owner. You know, and I did not know that we had a city ordinance that says, you know, dogs are supposed to be tagged and licensed in town. I have absolutely no problem doing that with my dogs. I don't think anybody that's a responsible pet owner has a problem doing that with their dogs. If they're not responsible and they're not doing their vaccinations, then they need fined until they come into compliance. But we have nobody designated to be the dog catcher or no place to put them until the vet shows up.
We've actually got the same problem in pretty much every town in Thayer County. And what people are trying to do is, because we had a contract, and I think you guys had a contract too with Muddy Paws or whoever they were, and that didn't really work out for anybody. What we can do is we can designate an employee, but as a village, we don't really have enough employees. So like, Deschler hasn't figured out what to do. Ruskin and Knuckles County, they can't figure it out. Ohio has contracted with a vet in York who will send somebody down, but usually by the time they get down, they can't find the dog.
Exactly.
So, I mean, really, there's not much we can do. The kennel thing, I think, involves liability and insurance that we don't really want to deal with, but I think we could possibly contract maybe with the vet in Fairbury, but we're still going to have to solve the problem of getting the dog.
When this issue was brought up before, I volunteered to do it. I am an experienced dog person. I raise blue heelers. I've had extensive experience with just about every breed there is.
Okay, the quote we got, I guess we got one from Countryside Vet Clinic. And the quote is based on 6 nights of boarding. It's $150, including euthanasia and cremation. So,
But that still does not address the problem of what to do with the dogs until the vet comes to get them.
but
That
who's-
is my whole point.
Yeah, but I mean, do you have a proposal for, I'm gonna set up the kennel, I'm gonna take care of the dogs while we find the... That's just all I saw was a picture of a kennel.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think,
it's
I think
something
if you
that I
had a
can
proposal, I think I could sell it to every town in the county. I mean, if you had a proposal for, I've got a place to set up a kennel, and I'm gonna come and get them, and I'm gonna do all this, I think there's money to be made. We just don't have anything like that, and we don't have the resources to hire somebody.
Everything I've looked up in regards to insurance aspects for a temporary catch pen, there is nothing. If you want to be a certified pound, yes, you have liability insurance and all that stuff. What I'm talking about is just the village erecting a pen. I will volunteer to do it, you know. $5 a dog, you know, whatever. If there's one loose, you know, it's not about the money. It's about, you know, if one of my dogs got loose, I know Dagger would shoot it.
Who?
Dagger. He's already said
I don't
he'd
know
shoot
who
him.
The former village board chairman.
that is. Okay. Would you be willing to put it on the agenda for next month and let me try to come up with something that works for you and the village?
Okay. Also,
And what do you guys think as a board member?
There's something happened, like when she went to go catch these dogs, and then she gonna be what if she got bit? Is the board
Those are
gonna
the
be
things that I need to look
responsible?
at. That's why I need to look at it, because I need to know.
well, if it's
Yeah.
a dangerous dog, I'm not going
He
to.
got mauled in our
I mean, it's
backyard
just one of
by a
those
hunting
things,
dog
you
that
just
came
never
up
know
out of
what's
nowhere.
going on. I'm not
And he
saying
ended
that
up
you
having to
wouldn't.
have the
Right.
rabies
The
shot.
village
He
has
got bit in the
catch
face and the chest and
Right.
everything.
A bit.
And
Well, I mean, then you have a lawsuit on your hands. You should go after the owner. And here's the thing, if we have dogs that are loose and are biting, that's why we have ordinances. And we can go after people under the ordinances. If people have a loose dog, or even if they have a barking dog, we have ordinances in place where we can go after them and get civil fines. In the case of you getting mauled, I mean, you should be talking to the police, the sheriff.
We did, and
I
they didn't do
but, you know,
anything.
You can't sue somebody who doesn't have any.
But
Yeah.
wasn't that what I had asked you about? You had said, when I'd asked you about my dog, and you had said that people are supposed to come in and register them. So by fault, the people that are not coming in and registering their dogs with you should be held accountable, not the town board or private individuals.
But I think part of the thing is, I think for a lot of years, everything was just kind of run on handshakes and, you know,
Yeah,
nothing
right.
was run. And so so now I've been here since December, and now we're running everything by the book, and we're trying to get everything on the up and up. That's the thing with the licenses. If we haven't been making everybody license it, and we've been, you know, if we've been punishing some people but not others, that's not fair. We have to run everything smoothly, and everyone has to be treated the same. And so that's kind of the process that we're in now, is getting everything above board. So yes, everyone needs to have a license. Yes, they need to have their dogs leashed. But I don't think that's been the procedure in the past. And so that's one of the things we need to do moving forward. But, I mean, I like your idea of, you know, having a pen, but we need to find out what kind of exposure that gives the village.
How about the dogs that run loose at night when people let them out to go potty and they're all over town?
That's
How you
against the
gonna-
ordinance.
Yeah, it is, but they do it.
The
You
way
know.
that we handle that then is somebody has to come in and file a written complaint. They can't just come in and say it. They need to write it down and say, I saw Ben Murray's dog.
But see, I don't know whose dog is whose.
Well,
That's just it. I
Right.
could say what color it is,
right. That's one of the
but that would
problems.
be it.
But once you get a complaint, then we can address it. But we have to address everybody the same. That's the trick.
Okay.
Well, something that, you know, I don't know how many dogs we currently have registered in town.
2. One guy has come in every year and paid his
Okay.
dog fee.
And he was the individual that he had adopted a dog, I believe from the dog pound, and it got loose, and we tied it up, fed it, watered it, trying to find out who owned it. We knew it had to be somebody's nice pet, and that's when we decided to license dogs, because if we had had a record, we could have returned it to him. But as far as the kennel, we need to check and make sure with the Department of Agriculture, because we had talked about taking part of the building and building a pen for it, and then those laws changed on that.
I think there's something we can do where we keep them for a certain number of hours, and then we have to pass it on to whoever we have the contract with.
Okay,
But,
yeah, please look into
but yeah,
that.
but if you're willing to wait till next month, then I at least can have it ready for you, and we can say, I can say, here's what we can do for the kennel, and if you're willing to do it for $5 a dog or volunteer or whatever I mean, think about it and come up with what you think is a fair plan.
Well,
And-
I'd also, to expand on, the licensing procedure, number one, if the problem with the licensing is, Donna is in Bacon. We don't have anybody here in town that anybody can call to say, hey, I've got a dog. It doesn't have its tags on. Then what do you do? Well, if, whoever you put in charge of it, technology is, I can snap a picture of any dog right now with my cell phone, go to my computer, print up a picture. If everybody that registered, we can put a book together and say, okay, there's not that many dogs here in town.
Yeah, but I mean, we're starting from scratch, so I think the first thing we need to do is, we need to send a letter to everybody in town, that says from now on, you have to have your dog, I mean, we have to start this over from scratch, just like everything else we're doing.
We have done that, and how do you force these people? I
They
mean,
just don't.
we
Well,
have
you
let
find
people
them if they
know,
don't.
we have sent out,
Well-
and it's hard to enforce these things.
But they
We
say their
have-
dogs are in the house. I mean, they do.
They should
They
still
don't
have
let
to
They
have
still have
a
to have a
tag.
license.
I know, but they
And
don't.
the
We have-
license is, because that's how we prove that they've had their vaccine, their shots.
We've had vaccination clinics for
Mhm.
we've tried all things to make them come and do what they should do. We've even talked about offering the free tags. It's to get started.
Still
Yeah.
people won't,
They still
Well,
will not
how
do
do
it.
you-
Well,
Anybody that's using the excuse that my dog is in the house, I guarantee you, they're letting that dog outside the house to do its business.
But yeah, I think.
Yeah,
so, okay,
So
so
that's not an
Yeah.
excuse.
well, it's
So
not.
let's move
That's what
that.
we use.
we'll table that till next month, you'll have an idea at the
Yep.
next meeting, I'll have everything together, and hopefully we can come up with a plan then.
What about the barking dogs? How does?
Same thing, it's an ordinance, and it has to be a written complaint, and once you get a written complaint, then you can fine them. But then they're able to request a hearing and come in and say, it wasn't my dog, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But,
Muddy Paws worked partially for us as it did for the other communities. And then we got into a family type situation, and it was distant. Somebody married to somebody,
Yeah.
and
and I think she got spread too thin.
well, and working, but she didn't want to do it, and the dog was kind of mean, and it became a problem for us. But I had to hang a description of these dogs, and for people to claim them. And we did put several down that
Yeah.
apparently somebody had dumped on us. So it was costly.
Okay, so that's
All right,
it, that's it for dogs.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, my last thing is the appointment of the vacancy on the board. Just like with the dog,
Yeah.
we're doing everything by the rules now. So you guys went a little out of order, so we're gonna have to start fresh. Okay, so what we have is we have to follow the statutes. So tonight, Marge, you were giving notice, written notice of the vacancy. And that says that there is a vacancy. And then we have a second notice here, which is essentially the same thing. And then you just need to put in when the term expires, and you'll sign that. And then Donna, after you give your you post it in 3 public places, then you will sign it. And then we move on to, at the next meeting, Marge, you will present one name
Okay.
to the board.
And
And,
failure of them to accept, then we advertise again, correct?
well, no.
No.
If, no, if,
If what, no?
make sure it's somebody that wants to do it before you give their
Okay.
name.
Well, but if say they would,
Yes.
if they would
Yeah.
at that meeting say,
Don't-
no, I really don't want to
Don't
do
say
it."
my name.
Oh, all right. Well, you
Okay.
said close enough, so
Yeah.
I'll do that, yes.
Okay, so if somebody applies, if it's a written application, if they just tell you that they would do it,
Okay,
you decide and you put the name forward.
okay,
And then the board members vote on it.
okay.
If it passes, then we're fine. If not, then we go through a different procedure. So we'll see if it goes first. If not, then we'll move on to the next thing.
Okay.
So that's how we do. We just need to have the written notice.
Unfortunately, we did it the way the attorney had
I
told
don't
us.
say, we were under the impression we were doing it right, because
Because-
that's how she told us.
Yeah. She just
Well,
contacted the
yeah.
attorney.
We just went by her.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So
But this is the statute that applies to villages. So this is what we have to do.
Lynn's office did not tell us.
Yeah. Well, there are different rules.
Yeah, but we did contact our attorney about how to fill the
I thought I was your
last time.
attorney.
No, the last one.
Prior
We
to,
contacted our attorney, no, not you, Ben.
not you.
Okay.
No, we
We just went by
we
what
paid
she
big
told
fees
us.
to our
Well, that's
attorney
fine.
to have her tell us how to do this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she's just wrong.
Okay, so sign those. Put up the notice again. And then we'll come back at the next
Okay, I'm
meeting.
letting the board of the
Okay.
members see this. right?
Yeah, and then at the next meeting, we'll come up and you'll present a name.
Okay, okay.
I think that's it for me.
My notes. You can't read them.
I know.
Okay, so that's what everything we need now for
That's all you need.
vacancy? Okay.
Just, and do it exactly like you did last time. You just needed the
Okay.
written notice
Okay.
instead of the,
So this is just something we keep in our file?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, let's go ahead then and move on to the lagoon project. Reports from you guys that have been down. Ellen, you want to come on
Yeah,
up?
we went,
You want to come on up?
we met with a gentleman by the name of Tony from Van Kirk. And Tyler Doan, our engineer, was here, and Jim and Jeremy and I, Donna. We did a walkthrough. We went down to the new lift station. We went down to the old sewer cells. Those are all done. They're all filled back in. He's got to do some work on them yet to, they're still pretty mushy, so they can seed them back to grass. We went up to the new lagoons. They got the seeding and everything all done. Everything seems to be working good, so. Anybody got any questions on the lagoon project?
I guess I'd like to ask you guys, you know, we talked earlier about the excess land. Would you still like me to proceed and go see what kind of program Pheasants Forever offers us? It's a cash program. I do think that Janet may have been wrong about telling us of us collecting money from a farmer. Because the school ran into that, but they couldn't, so. That's, I just want to know about that, so.
Excuse me, outside of that, that's all I've got. The water system's been good. All the samples come back good.
Good.
You know, haven't had any leaks or anything, knock on wood, so. Seems like everything is going copacetic. Thanks, Margie.
Yeah, thank you, Ellen. Okay, we have an application for payment to Van Kirk, and I'm sure this is with the approval of the SBA. And
I'll move we accept the pay application for Van Kirk Contracting pending USDA approval for $57,037.50.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion has been made, excuse me, and seconded to approve the pay application to Van Kirk Contracting pending USDA approval for $57,037.50. Any other discussion? Jerry?
Yes.
And Jim?
Yes.
Yes, and one board vacancy. Okay. JEO Consulting claim. Looks like that's $5,702 for them.
And that has been approved by the
That's been
USA.
approved by them, okay.
Okay. So we just need to
Need
pay.
a motion and second on that.
I'll move we pay JEO Consulting's claim for $5,702.
I'll second it.
Okay, any other discussion? Jeremy?
Yes.
Ange?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Yes. JEO claim approved for $5,702 and with one board vacant. Change order. Alarm dialer at the lift station for, looks like $3,175. Would you like to explain that,
Yeah,
Alan?
I could have probably done that when I was up first time. There's an alarm on the box. In case the power goes off and we fill up with a lot of water. We've got a pump that we can pump from one part of the system to the other so we can put it in force main. But it's got a flashing light and it's got an alarm system on it. Well, we felt that, you know what, if nobody's around and something happens, so we went to what they call this dialer system, and this dialer system is basically going to work off of a cell phone. We figured that that's the cheapest way to go. We're going to have a cell phone locked in there, and Jeremy and Jim and myself will have it'll be hooked into our cell phones, that if we have a problem, they can either ring or text us or whatever. So it's basically a backup thing. We talked about this when we first started the project, and I think it was quite a bit higher, and I think we kind of basically forgot about it. But we thought that it was a good thing, and we're actually in some grant money, so we thought that's what we were going to go ahead with. So, and the engineers were fine with it. So.
Wait a minute here. Okay, I think we need to vote if we're gonna approve such alarm dialer for protection.
I'll move to approve it.
A motion's been made and seconded to approve alarm dialer at the lift station for $3,175. Any other discussion? Jeremy?
Yes.
Ange? Jim?
Yes.
Yes, with one vacant board vote. Ellen, I believe we had talked about this before. Is there enough light there if you guys need to go down there for any reason, pending electricity not being off, that you can see at night?
I think so. They're adding
Okay.
another
They're
light
adding the light.
They are,
into the panel.
okay,
into the
because we had
panel.
talked about that,
An
that
extra
there
one.
wasn't, okay. Because
They're taking care of that.
I noticed when I checked street lights, it was awfully dark there.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't, do we have anything else on the lagoon project? Okay, thanks,
Thank you,
Ellen.
Margie.
Okay, let's move on to the claims treasury report and minutes.
making a motion to accept the claims treasurer's reports and minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion's been made to set the claims and treasurer's report in minutes. Any other discussion? Jeremy?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Yes, it's on the board vacancy. Okay, now we're gonna open up this portion of the meeting that is the comment period. I would ask that you raise your hand and identify yourself if you would like to have some discussion on any of the agenda items only.
Just briefly, my name is Dustin Garrison. I'm the attorney for Rick and Judy
Okay.
Laughinghouse.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure that we're square, and I'm sorry I get loud. It's natural for me. I'm not trying to be obnoxious tonight. I'm just trying to make sure that Ben, I guess I'm directing this at you, there will be compliance with 84-712. Is that true?
To the extent I think we need to. I think there's gonna be an issue with the amount of things that you've requested as to the cost of copying it, but I will.
Okay, let me clarify that. That's simple. We have our own equipment. We have our own
okay.
people. We're not expecting you to copy
Yeah.
it for us and bill us. We will have our own people. All we want is for it to be made available.
Yes.
We want it to be made available to us between 8 o'clock and 5 o'clock, just business hours, for as long as it takes. I understand we're asking for a large amount of documentation, 8 years worth. Well, actually 10 years worth, I'm sorry.
I think it's fair to ask that you give us our 4 days
Before
we make a decision.
Okay, we have no problem giving you your 4 days,
Okay.
but my understanding is that you wanted to table the entire thing until the next meeting.
No.
That's not what I want. We want our 4 days.
We will comply with the laws of the state of Nebraska.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So
Okay, I thought we already covered this.
I'm just clarifying for my purposes.
Okay.
Because my understanding is that you were thinking about tabling this until the next meeting. I want to make sure
No.
that compliance is had with 84-712. You tell me now that that's going to happen. I wanted you to know that we're going to have our own people. We don't expect you to copy it and give us copies. So that doesn't need to be addressed, even though 84-712 does require that. I think 84-712 subsection B says, subsection 2 says that we can supply our own photocopying equipment, so on and so forth. So we're willing to do that. This will be at no expense to anyone within the village of Alexandria. This is completely the expense of my client,
Got it.
Mr. and Mrs. Laughinghouse. I don't know if there's any other questions that I can answer for you. All we want is the records.
Got it.
Let me make.
We will comply with the law.
Okay.
So Donna's going to have to be here available,
Yeah.
and this is going to be above and beyond her regular requirement.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
All right, just wanted to ask and make
Yeah.
sure. No hand raised, okay. Well, if there's no other comments here, I would ask for a motion that we adjourn.
I'll move we adjourn.
Okay. Jeremy?
Yes.
Ann? Yes. Jim?
Yeah.
Yes. And one vacant board member, meeting adjourned.
Are we sticking with 7?
Yes.
But I got here, I'll call him, I'll bring one Friday. Yeah, he said,
Is it okay to go?
Alan, I was gonna ask you the same thing, you know, the old adage, if the tree falls in the forest, does anybody hear it?
Yeah.
Does it make a noise? Always wondered about that, if no one's around to hear the alarm go off, and if it does go off.
It gives you plenty of time. I mean, when the water, there's all kinds of time, all kinds of room for water and waste in there. By the time somebody gets there. We just felt that we needed
Right.
something for that.
If there's an outage, like, for like 2 or 3 days, I mean, we've had it where power's been out.
We've got it. Instead of putting in a generator, they wanted to keep the cost down. They brought us, they gave us a trash pump, and we've tried it. We've stuck it in the one side of the system, stuck it in the other side of the system.
And it'll push it on up there.
And then
That was one of
We
my
have a late
questions.
fee.
I didn't want to flush in the back up.
No.
We increase that to whatever we choose, within reason. We've got a little.
Yeah, I have not had it. Why don't you go,
Let's just say take the one from the
take that one down there.
Right, not,
If nothing else, just take it home.
I wanna make it clear.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler just doesn't
Oh, we
want
gotta get this coffee together.
the trash around.
Oh, that
It's that one.
you gotta make it coffee.
Telling me you take that one? Okay, all right, that's fine.
I forgot. I got, what do you call that? A shipper brain or something.
Did you get your back door put back on?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah,
But it's
the
on.
new customer, there's
Yeah.
two
Well,
different
there's,
deposits, I guess.
well, yeah, when we had to put the meters in here, if you didn't
Okay, all
get
right, I'll let
the
him know.
meters in,
Yeah.
it changed.
Told him I'm
that.
coming down in 2
Like a
days.
new
We're gonna have
building,
coffee.
like a new service.
Okay, I'll believe that.
That'll work, that'll work.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Coffee, Alan.
There's our ordinance.
Real strong.
Oh, okay. Can I make a copy of that?
You can have that.
Oh, okay.
I'll make her make tea.
Okay.
You put your things back, okay.
Yeah, that's all I'm
All right.
doing. I'm not looking, I just want to pencil
All right.
back.
No, we've got a bit of an issue with the late payments. We're trying to correct that, but he's the clerk.
Yeah, that makes sense. And
What was your brother doing over here? Taking up space or what?
okay. I'll do it.
I just didn't have anything important to say tonight.
You noticed I didn't have much to say. I'm glad they called you out.